to this episode of the Keto Vegan podcast. I'm Rach, your host. This episode is one of the few where I'm doing a day in the life of the Keto Vegan. You've been with me on a stag hen do in Brighton. You've been with me a day at work and then dinner at a Thai restaurant. And now you're with me when I'm trying to navigate the amount of freezer space I have, the lack of food pots that I've got, and the quantity of food I've bought. Details of the recipes in the show notes. Find out if I do use the celeriac and how I use it. Enjoy the episode. Just been to Sainsbury's and I'm going to do some cooking. I'm going to do some stuffed mushrooms in a different way than I've done before. I'm going to do a cauliflower cheese with some chorizo shroom dogs in, and I've got a real thing for peanut butter at the moment. So I'm going to do spinach with mushrooms, and I haven't bought these before. These char grilled Mediterranean vegetables. They are peppers mainly and onion. I'm going to do that with peanut butter, and I'm going to add some like heat in there, some lemongrass, some ginger paste, garlic, strong spices, etc. I've got loads of mayonnaise because that's on a neck to price at the moment. It's the cheapest vegan mayonnaise you can get. This Heinz, seriously good. I love it. And these 3 tubs of cream cheese. 2 of them are going to go in the collie cheese, probably with a lot of mayonnaise as well. One of them, oh no, I think I'm going to need 2 of them. Oh no, I'm going to do them differently, aren't I, for the stuffed mushrooms. The chives will go in with the mushrooms. The dill, I am going to make celeriac coleslaw, but it's going to be a burger slaw. So I'm going to put the dill in that. Now, Cookie hasn't got a food processor, so I might have to grate it. I don't know how I'm going to do that. It might not work. I might end up just roasting it. Celeriac is really low carbs. Love it. I am going to use a bit of the grated cheddar, even though that's high carbs. And I've bought some Elmley double because that was a nectar price for me. And I might need that in with the satay thing. But I also did get some coconut cream. Last time I went to Sainsbury's, they didn't have any coconut cream or any frozen Richmond. Or was it What the Cluck? Anyway, I wrote to them and they then said they were either going to get the Richmond or What the Cluck. I can't remember. And I went in this time and there's coconut cream there. Isn't that good? So this is not my kitchen. This is somebody else's kitchen. So there's some sweets in the background there and various other things. So here, let's go to the fridge. My shelf is ready for some food. My freezer space, I've got this drawer here. It's got a couple of pots in there. Let's see if I manage to not overfill everything. I've got a feeling I don't know how to cook small. Looking at all this stuff I've got, that is never going to fit in pots in the freezer. We shall see. At least it's vegan. It's not going to go off if it's in the fridge for a week cooked. I shall see. I don't think I'll be buying those char grilled vegetables again. There is aubergine, courgette, peppers and tomatoes, so it's all carb low. But look how tiny those little pieces are. Anyway, so in there, I made a mistake. I thought I'll do the collie cheese first, and whilst that's baking in the oven, I can make the spinach satay thing. And so I heated up the butter and I put in the chicken pieces, which are going in the spinach thing, rather than the shroom dog pieces that are going in the collie. So in there is the chicken pieces, pretend chicken, cooking at the bottom, chucked the frozen spinach on top, chucked the mushrooms in over there, then emptied the Mediterranean veg there. That is all the vegetables, proteins, whatever going in. And then I'm going to, once that's cooked and simmering nicely and all the way cooked through, I will then add the peanut butter, the spices, the coconut cream. Whilst the veg and the chicken is cooking for the Thai thing, the peanut thing, I have taken the stalks out of those large white flat mushrooms. I have chopped them finely, put them in there. I am now going to, because I said I'm doing this differently to my usual stuffed mushrooms, I am going to chop up the spring onions and fry them off. Add bacon as well, the This Isn't Bacon Lardons. I might use 1 box of those instead of the 2. And fry those off till they're really nice and crispy and got a bit of texture. I am then going to spread some of this onto the mushrooms and then put that topping on it and then top it with some grated cheese and some sliced baby plum tomatoes. I've used both packs of the lardons. So the lardons, the spring onions finely chopped, and the mushrooms are frying nicely there. I used toasted sesame oil to fry them in. I'm now going to do the cheese thing. Put the cheese on, I use a little spatula and just spread. That's 1 tub of the free from soft cheese from Sainsbury's that went over those 8. I think that's about the right amount. It could have done with a little bit more, maybe another half tub, but I do need to use those other 2 tubs for the collie cheese. You know how organised I am, always thinking, bother, forgotten this. And be careful when you're frying those lardons, they kind of explode a little bit. Chopped up the little baby plum tomatoes, put those on there. I'm now going to add the bacon mix. Grated cheese on top of the bacon, chives as well. You can see I've been really careful that I haven't missed the mushrooms. That's going to go in the oven now. The oven is set at about 180 degrees centigrade and I'm going to put them in for 20 minutes. I'll check them after 15. Whilst I was doing the mushrooms, this has now really reduced down. I'm going to stir that through and then add the peanut, well, I'm going to add some spices. What am I going to add? I'm going to add chili paste, garlic puree, cider vinegar, dark soy sauce, some liquid smoke, some smoked paprika, some chili sauce, lemon juice, lime juice, and a whole tub, 700 grams of peanut butter. Now, peanut butter is high carb compared to almond butter. If you do want to chuck something together like this and you really want to be very strict on your carbs, go almond butter. It is much more expensive though. Once you're in ketosis, then generally I find peanut butter doesn't kick me out. This is the finished result. It's got 3 cartons of coconut cream and a big tub of crunchy peanut butter. I have taste checked it. I could have put a bit more chili in there, but it's got a nice gentle spice kick to it, so I'm going to keep it as it is. I now need to realise that I've probably made far too much and haven't got enough pots, because most of my pots are with Luke and Kingsley at the moment because of their doing their wedding present, their keto vegan diet pre-wedding. Here are the mushrooms. They were in at actually 200 degrees. I think, well, I don't know what they're going to taste like. I shall see when I have them, but I'm not going to have one today. I will probably have one tomorrow for my breakfast. I've decided to do the collie cheese differently to how I originally was going to do it. I was going to cook it all and then put it in a pot. What I've done, I've emptied the frozen collie cheese in there. It's a lovely sort of casserole dish of cookies. I've chopped up finely the shroom dogs and chucked those on top. I am now going to melt this in a saucepan. I am going to add cream and mayonnaise if I need to, then I'm just going to pour it over the top. I'm sure I thought about putting something else in there. Oh, I know what I'm going to do. I've got baby plum tomatoes left. I'm going to cut those in half and put them in as well. And I will top it with the chives that are left. The cream cheese is melting. I've added about 1/3 of a carton of the vegan mayonnaise. So I'll probably put in 300 grams or 300-ish mil of the mayonnaise. And I also put in a whole pot of the Elmley plant double. I've put a generous couple of teaspoons of garlic powder as well. I used to not eat garlic, thinking it's so unsociable and being a teacher and all of that, but I really like garlic and I'm sure people won't get too close. I didn't let that come to a boil. It doesn't need it because it's now going to be poured over this. And I know I said I was going to chop the tomatoes in half, but I haven't, because when you chop them in half, they go really mush and stuff, don't they? But when you're eating it and having heated it up, have to be careful. Tomatoes are like fire. I've mixed that up. The cauliflower is still frozen, so it's defrosted a little bit with that hot sauce on it. I have chucked the chives on top. I'm going to put it in the oven now for 15 minutes on about 180. Take it out and stir it again, and then see how cooked the cauliflower is, and then top it with grated cheese. That was in the oven for about 15 minutes on 180. I did get the temperature right this time. I've just stirred it, but it's still pretty cold. So I'm going to leave it in the oven for another half an hour. I am going to put grated cheese on top, but don't if you want to avoid unnecessary carbs. Here's the collie cheese, baked for about an hour altogether. I left it longer than half an hour this time because it wasn't bubbling all around. So today is Sunday, the day after I did all my cooking. I managed to squeeze everything in there. So maybe I am pretty good at measuring correctly how much cooking I can do. And then there's a couple of pots in here as well with the things that didn't fit in, but then I can use those in the week. And I am going to prep some celeriac now for roasting, because Cookie's doing a roast dinner today. Got some friends coming over and I'll be doing that. And is my Beyond Burger in there? I'm having a good old Beyond Burger for my protein. Hurrah! I've decided I am going to use the celeriac. I have put some cubes there for roast later, and then I grated the rest by hand. It wasn't too bad at all. And then I've chopped the dill, 2 packs of dill finely. On there already I've put some turmeric, ground smoked paprika and some cayenne pepper and some salt. Then I'm going to add the mayo, the garlic puree, the mustard, the chili puree, the tomato puree and the sweetener to make myself a lovely burger slaw. There it is, all mixed in. I tasted it and it's too flipping hot. I don't know what I put too much of in, whether it's the chili paste, the paprika, the cayenne pepper. Yeah, that was really hot. So I added more mayo. That sort of toned it down a little bit. Still got a strong kick to it. So if you're going to make it, do the hot things very gradually. I just look at what's on the ingredients of a burger sauce and then do it. Now that looks really mushy. And I've chosen celeriac because the carbs on celeriac are actually pretty much lower, quite a lot lower than the carbs in a cabbage. So perfect option. And you can roast it as well. So if you feel that you're missing out on roast potatoes, roast some celeriac. Perfect. Well done, and thank you for getting to the end. I'll be doing more a day in the life of the Keto Vegan in the near future, but to be honest, my life is so flippin' boring most of the time that I don't want to get you completely bored. I will be going to a wedding, a little cruise of Luke and Kings's in 3 weeks' time, so there will be a day in the life of the Keto Vegan on a cruise and at a wedding, so look forward to those. I certainly am looking forward to those. Next week, though, I'm going to explore the question I've had ever since I've been vegan, and that is, what is the right thing to do with leather shoes, suede jackets, leather belts and any other clothing I have or had that is made from animal skin. 2 weeks before I became a vegan, I bought a beautiful vintage white fur jacket that was second-hand or third-hand. So you'll have to tune in next week to find out what I did with that, and also I'm going to be asking other vegans what they think about it as well. Share this podcast with your friends and I'll see you next time.